I'm a lecturer in public health from the University of Sheffield, and we've recently carried out a project exploring families' experiences of housing insecurity. And at the outset of our project, we had some ideas about how we might like to try and share some of our findings, one of which was an illustrated report, and there are some of those on the table in front of you. It's called Far From Home. So we worked with an illustrator to share some of the family stories who took part in our research. So please take a copy home, because my case was extremely heavy on the way here, and I don't want to have to take them all back. But something else that kind of cropped up in the course of the research was an opportunity to apply to the... Oh, brilliant. Next slide, please, and the one after that. To the ESRC Festival of Social Sciences for a small pot of funding to share some of our findings in a different way. Next slide, please. And just totally kind of initially unrelated to the research, I did an online workshop with Rebekah here, who's a textile artist. And I love doing the workshop, a very nice antidote to kind of academic life, to do something really nice and practical. Next slide, please. And I was looking at Rebekah's website, and something really resonated with me here. So on the website, Rebekah writes that a quilt is an object that offers comfort and protection, just as the act of making it comforts and protects me. A soft fabric hug that connects me to its eventual recipient. Fabrics with memories that are passed on to create new ones. And it made me really think of our research with families experiencing housing insecurity and what a home should be. And it should be that real place of safety and stability, and feel like a hug when you get back at the end of a day. And I thought there was real potential to do something with Rebekah to help kind of convey our findings in a really visual and tactile way. Next slide, please. So we worked together to create a small exhibition that we showed in Sheffield at the Winter Gardens called The Fabric of Home. It was a bigger exhibition in Sheffield with sharing more of our research findings alongside quilts inspired by the findings. And we also ran some workshops.
If we could have the next slide, please. So I'm just going to talk you through how I arrived at these outcomes with the research carried out by Hannah. So when we discussed the project, we talked about the number of quilts and what I would show in each of them. Hannah shared with me some of the interviews with families and with the children. So that was my starting point. The interviews were quite tough to read, as you can imagine. And I began by kind of highlighting key phrases and common themes that were found with the children and the families, and then trying to sort of think, were there any visual triggers there, or sometimes words like being torn from your family home and the tearing of fabric sat quite nicely together. Next slide, please. So yeah, I started off with a mind map, as I do with most things, just exploring everything to do with home and starting to bring in some of the keywords that came in from the research. Next slide. And then if you want to keep clicking through, I think there's a few, there we go. Yeah, it started to bring in kind of visual aspects of housing and architecture, but kind of trying to represent it in a way that obviously represents how unsuitable the accommodation was for the majority of the people. So you'll see lots of kind of like exposed brickwork, peeling of surfaces, and sort of I tried to kind of convey the idea of damp. A lot of the experiences, there was one in particular that said the room was so wet that there was mushrooms growing under the bed, and so yeah, I tried to convey that through the use of dye. If we could go to the next slide, please. I use all repurposed domestic fabrics in the quilt. So it's bedding, it's tablecloths, it's curtains, and then they are plant dyed with items from my home. So there's kind of a connection to my home in there as well. And then the darker areas are from dipping that into iron, which creates this interesting reaction. So it gets the kind of darker, moody colours. These little drawings here are from some of the research from the children, and so I try to put those in stitch in the quilt as well. Next one. And then the smaller pieces each represent a part of an interview from a child. So this one really struck me. It was about a child losing their favourite toy, being moved from home to home, and the kind of fear of losing the thing that was most precious to them in their world. So that was represented there through the silhouette of the teddy bear that's kind of just hanging on by a thread. Next one. And next one. Threads of repair. I felt that there's quite a nice correlation between repairing the fabric of society and repairing as a textile technique. So this one utilises the idea of darning and visible repair to kind of repair a hole in the home, but to not do it so that it's invisible, to kind of show the scars that has left. Next one, please. And the next one. Shadows of home. I tried to represent the kind of oppressing feeling, particularly from the parents who, obviously struggle quite psychologically with the move and the kind of worry about children. So this one's got quite a dark, oppressive kind of stormy cloud kind of feeling. Next one. And the next, corners of home. This one talked about, it was a child who said, I don't really have a bedroom, I only have one corner, which I sort of saw visually as patchwork. So I tried to represent that kind of idea of boxes piled up and not really having much of a living space as people have described today. And I think, is there one more? Next one? And one after that? That's great. Well, Hannah and I are around at break and lunch. Please do have a look at the work and read the research, and we're here to answer any questions. Thank you for listening.
So, it's so clever, isn't it? You're such a clever artist. Thank you. Just the depiction of that emotion in that fabric is really strong. So do take it with you, and it's something you can flick through.